Does NATO even really matter, though? Like, honestly, just, like, does it? Does it really? But anyway, so does, like I said, does NATO really even matter? If just be honest, like, if the U.S. was to leave NATO, right? Would that even matter? I mean, do we, like, we don't need to be a part of it, do we? Like, honestly, I mean, we don't. We just don't. So this is armywarcollege.edu.com. They did a little thing. Does NATO still matter? The alliance has created economic growth, peace, and stability. Okay, yeah, fair enough. It has absolutely done that in the 21st century, and great, okay? It has created a global logistical supply chain where everybody can trade and everybody can be friends. It's also created a supply chain that makes it incredibly easy for bad people such as terrorists to get bombs. So there's that, because unfortunately, yes, the entire world is connected, but people are still corrupt assholes. So the alliance has created economic growth, peace, and stability. America's relationship with Europe is undergoing a potentially profound re-examination. That is like some Obama-era fucking wordplay right there. Now we're reimagining NATO. Whether and how the transatlantic bond, especially America's commitment to NATO, will endure has become an open question. To some degree, reassessment makes sense. The NATO agreement was penned over 75 years ago, and most Americans alive today don't know what led President Harry S. Truman to add his signature. We have no idea. Like, why the fuck would we do that? Well, back then I could understand why we would do that. But now it certainly doesn't make any sense. Like I said, the U.S. has been the world police for such a long time that everybody else has basically just gotten fat and lazy. So, whatever. There are 3 reasons why NATO matters to Americans. First and foremost, if you care about having a job, you should care about NATO's durability. All of economists, bankers, and business people know capital flees instability. Yeah, okay, fair. Conflict tends to throttle economic growth in the countries and regions immediately involved. Alright. For over 75 years, NATO has served to maintain security and stability across Europe, which was and remains our most important trade and investment relationship. Today, roughly 1/4 of the U.S. exports and imports are with Europe. Yeah, because like they're our closest trade partner. It's also a pretty heavy, concentration of countries with high levels of income per capita. Today, roughly 1/4 of all U.S. exports and imports are with Europe, more than with Canada, Mexico, or China. Nearly 2.6 million U.S. jobs are directly tied to trade and investment with Europe, versus around 900,000 with regard to China. In terms of U.S. debt, European holds twice as much as China. In sum, our economy is inexplicably linked with that of Europe. Yes, it is, but also the U.S. economy can exist completely independent of Europe, and the European economy cannot exist completely independent of the United States. That's the fundamental difference there, right? Because this is Times Now World on YouTube. This is, I think it's a French news station. No NATO without me, apparently, says Trump, as he triggers the alliance meltdown over Greenland. Which is interesting because, again, Greenland exists in the Western Hemisphere, and last I checked, the U.S. was the only power in the Western Hemisphere. Cool. Like, I just did I don't know. I just did a collaboration with another VTuber named Silas Frost. Hang on, let me pull up his thing real quick. Oh, here it is, right here. Boom. So this is the video that we did together. So this is Silas Frostrunner. Definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's right here. I'll even put a link to this video in the description of my YouTube video about this. Anyway, so we both happen to be veterans, and we both happen to agree that the U.S. is basically the only power in the Western Hemisphere. We can't think of a single country in the Western Hemisphere that the U.S. would not be able to give the Maduro treatment to, right? All right, so the warns Trump, NATO alliance crumbles over Arctic dispute. All right, let's get to parts here.
Growing resistance to his Greenland push. Speaking as European leaders, close ranks, Trump mocked Allied concerns and claimed the military alliance itself survives because of him.
You know, I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Nobody glazes Trump more than Trump does, and I love it. Absolutely. Look, if nobody's going to be your fan, you got to be your fan, man, okay?
President for NATO, by far.
You got to believe in you.
And we'll see how that goes, but Greenland is very important.
From Strasbourg, the European Parliament responded with an unusually blunt show of unity. EU lawmakers rejected both Trump's Greenland claim and his pressure tactics.
Right, but nobody in the EU has the power to tell the U.S. no about anything, which was abundantly clear whenever he went to visit Davos.
Warning that economic threats will only destabilize Arctic security.
The measures threatened over the weekend by the United States administration will not help improve security in the Arctic. In fact, they risk the opposite. Greenland and Denmark have both made clear that Greenland is not for sale and that their sovereignty and territorial integrity needs to be respected.
I'm pretty sure that Great Britain, like England, left the European Union. I'm pretty sure they're not part of it anymore.
That fact will not change.
Because, like, that's what the whole Brexit movement was about, right? Like, that was the British exit from the European Union because they were basically getting fucked the same way that the U.S. is getting fucked in NATO.
Trump, however, doubled down. He dismissed Denmark's sovereignty
Trump's not a pussy.
argument outright, questioned its ability to defend the territory, and insisted U.S. control of Greenland is unavoidable, framing the issue as one of power, not partnership.
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders, they're very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property.
It's true. I mean, I'm fairly certain Scandinavia just gave it to Denmark in order to, like, equalize power or some shit like 300 years ago.
In Berlin, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz drew a clear red line. He warned that Trump's tariff threats over Greenland risk triggering escalation and damaging the transatlantic alliance, even as Europe seeks to avoid a trade war.
No, tariffs will hurt their countries, not the United States.
There is broad consensus among Europeans that further threats of tariffs will weaken rather than strengthen transatlantic
Says the German Chancellor.
relations. They also carry the risk of escalation. Tariffs are usually paid by those in whose country the imports go. In this case, American consumers would pay the tariffs, but they would of course also damage our economy, the European economy, and the German economy in particular, which is why we want to find a solution here.
Right, but the reason they're not, see, that's the thing. They're not actually going into detail about why it would damage their economy. See, yes, the U.S. consumer is going to end up paying that tariff, but only until the company decides to make their shit within the United States to avoid having to pay that tariff up front. Because, yes, they will end up upcharging their products in order to recoup some of the costs, but the companies are going to be upfront for all of those costs, which means the companies are going to lose a bunch of money from the very beginning, and they're going to try and recoup that cost by upcharging their stuff. But they're going to realize that instead of upcharging their shit, it would actually be easier to just build it here or make it here, manufacture it here, whatever you want to say. They should build their manufacturing plant in the United States, giving Americans high-paying jobs so that they can pay for the overinflated things. But since they're building it here, they're not subject to the tariffs anymore, which means their price of their product is actually going to go back down. And not only is the price going to go back down to what it was before the tariffs were there, it's also going to be producing trillions of dollars for the United States of America and providing hundreds of thousands of very high-paying jobs. So yes, the price is going to stay the same, but your wages are going to go way the fuck up. That's what people don't understand about the tariffs, because they look at it on a short-term basis and not a, let's say, 5-year basis, right? Do you have any idea how many manufacturing plants are getting built within the United States right now? Like, look, I work in construction. I promise you, there are trillions of dollars breaking ground right now. And we are 1 year in.
Denmark, at the center of the storm, accused Trump of trying to force outcomes through intimidation. Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said pressure will never deliver American objectives.
Dude, look at his fat ass, man. Also, boom. I don't know if it's just the blue sweater, but anyway, yeah, look at this dude. Oh my God, that's the Rasmussen guy, right? Like, that's the Denmark something or another, Denmark premier or chancellor or some shit, right? He's the one that comes out and says, "You can't have a Trump." This fucking Oompa Loompa looking guy.
And warned that Greenland is about people, not transactions.
Look, they gathered the whole town. Fun fact: this is everybody in Greenland.
You have a desire, you have a vision.
At least according to the mainstream media. I firmly think that there are an awful lot of people in Greenland that are not part of that protest, and also don't care one way or the other, whether they become part of the U.S. or they become their own country or they stay with Denmark. I really don't think that there are that many people in Greenland that give all that much of a shit about it.
You have a request, but you will never be able to achieve that by putting pressure on us.
Why? Is it because you know damn well that the moment you lose Greenland, your entire country is fucked, basically? Yeah, okay, no, that's fair. Yeah, it's just a cash cow for you.
That signal is of crucial importance in order to, I would say, to push the Americans back into the meeting room as we agreed last week.
Why? Listen, guy, if we wanted it, we could take it. Okay? Like, there is not very many countries on this planet we couldn't do the whole Maduro treatment to, right? Like, you are not relevant. Dude, listen, your compliance is not a factor in this. I've said this before. Definitely subscribe to my channels because I've said this before. Their compliance is not a factor. It is only whether or not Trump decides. It is on his whim.
The confrontation now lays bare a deeper rupture inside NATO.
Oh, look at all these generals. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's see. I don't see any U.S. ones. What the? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are these stars on his arm? What is this? Is this AI? What is happening here?
Europe is defending sovereignty, rule.
She needs to borrow some boobs from the other blue shirt lady.
And alliance principles. Trump is asserting leverage.
There he is. Why are you guys making him walk across that lawn? I don't know if you guys have ever seen the South Lawn.
Inevitability
It's fucking huge.
and dominance.
And you know what? He's not falling over. Just saying.
With tariffs looming and Greenland at the heart of the dispute, this is no longer just a territorial fight. It is a battle over who sets the rules inside the Western alliance.
That would be the United States of America, the only power that matters and the only voice that matters, because the rest of you can't exist without us. I want to talk about this too, because I really like the fact that they are not copy and paste houses, right? I really like the fact that they are just various colors, which is neat. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I like that. I think it's cool. And there's definitely still there's apartments, it looks like, back here, and then up here there's like a clear, this is the mayor's house or something, right? Oh look, an irrelevant country. Okay, all right. So yeah, anyway, that was Times Now World on YouTube, and that was telling me whether or not NATO can exist without the United States of America. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Trump went to NATO, and they all kind of kissed his ring, you know. So that's kind of funny. So definitely subscribe and like and hit the notification bells and follow me on all the things. All of my links will be in the description of my video. You're welcome to check it out. The proper pronunciation is Cestal, and I will see you guys on Sunday back here. I'm hoping to get some more activity in the chat, so let's do that, huh? All right, bye.